Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Did you miss me? I missed you, beautiful people. This is a story that I love telling just because of how crazy it was, and I'm positive that me and a buddy of mine could have died if we didn't play it as safe as we did. This story is going to be a long one, so buckle up. A couple years ago, a longtime friend of mine called me up and asked if I wanted to go backpacking in Catalina with him for a week. Now, I had already finished watching all of Attack on Titan at the time, so I had literally zero things to do, so I decided why not. Now, the plan was to take a boat out to the island and hike to a camping site on the opposite end of the island and camp out until his dad came to pick us up at the end of the week. Now, I am not an outdoorsy person. In fact, 80% of the time, my butt is fused to my bed. So I have no camping gear or anything that could help me survive an outdoor excursion. So I made a trip over to the good old Dick's Sporting Goods to find all my survival needs. So, do any of these tents have, like, a toilet? Or a free Crunchyroll account? And just like that, I got a tent. Mission complete. So the day comes and we hop into his dad's boat and begin our trek to Catalina. Now here's something they don't tell you about visiting one of California's only island paradises. It's far away. It took us driving at full speed around 2 to 3 hours to make it to Two Harbors. 2 to 3 hours! My god, I have never been so seasick in my goddamn life. My frail weeb constitution is gonna be the death of me. So we finally land in Two Harbors and wave goodbye to my buddy's dad and our only escape for 1 week. After grabbing a quick bite to eat, we pulled out our backpacks, which was massive by the way, about the size of my whole body and just as heavy, and began our trek to the camping site. Now, we started off here in Two Harbors and we had to hike all the way to Little Harbor. Now, I don't know about you, but that still looks far. I don't care what any of you backpacking veterans say. I'm a normal person, and to me, that looks more than I signed up for. So let me give you the lineup of people in our group. We had my buddy Riley, who planned the whole trip, his friend Ben, our mutual friend Michaela, and someone from school named Cloyce. We all looked to Riley because we assumed he knew where he was going, but after a 1-hour detour up an almost 90-degree angle hill going through most of our water and food, we decided to follow a map and the advice of other hikers a little more. We finally made it to the base of the hike after 1 hour. The base. You know, the starting line. Also, another thing to add, this was during the summer on one of the hottest days of the year. It was around 110 degrees and rising on a trail with no shade, so that added another level of difficulty to the adventure. Now, as we're at the base of the hike, we see another couple walking down the opposite direction, and let me just say, these people are jacked. Literally in immaculate physical form. We asked them if they're going to do the hike to Little Harbor, and they look at us and say, "What? No, it's way too hot. We'd never be able to make it." Now, if these Greek gods say they couldn't make the trip, there is no way our asses were going to be able to survive. But we have something they don't. Dumb. Our friend Ben was having a hard time, so he decided to wait in town for a shuttle to arrive and take him over to the camping site. And Michaela and Chloe said they wanted to take the street hike since it was little uphill and had some shade. And me and Riley look at each other and we're like, Nah, we're gonna do the hike anyway. So we all split up and agreed to meet in Little Harbor, and me and Riley began walking, unaware of just how unprepared we were for the future. Let's begin, shall we? Firstly, it was hot. By the time it was noon, it was around 117 degrees, not to mention it was all uphill for the first hour or so of the hike. We had packed water, but when you're this hot and walking so much, it's hard to manage how much water you're actually taking in, which began the first problem that would plague us on this trip. Water. I'd gone through all of my water within the first hour and a half of the hike, and Riley wasn't doing so hot himself. We decided to make a deal that every 20 minutes we could have 2 sips of water to be sure none of us passed out from heat stroke or dehydration. After about 30 minutes of this, we finally make it to the halfway point. Halfway point! Bro, I'm telling you, I was sweating so much I looked like I'd just gotten out of a pool. It was disgusting. At the halfway point, there was a wooden table, and me and Riley carved our names into it and the date. It was pretty fun though. For like 10 minutes until we got back on the road and wanted to just fall over and die. Now, this is the part of the hike where all of our water completely runs out. We have nothing left and just had to tough it out. Now, the heat was starting to come down at this point, but California is not muggy hot like it is in Florida. Like, at least in Florida, it has some moisture in the air. No. It was dry hot. So unbelievably dry. Not only that, the wind was starting to pick up and began filling flinging sand all over the place. So after a while, I began having trouble opening my eyes, and then it just kept getting worse until I legit could not open my eyes anymore. I stopped and I had to be like, hey man, I cannot see anymore. I think I got a bunch of sand in my eye. So I had to just grab the back of his backpack, being led around like a little kid on a field trip because I was blind. I also noticed that Riley was beginning to bob a little bit. He looked like, like a little drunk, and I was just waiting for this man to just keel over and pass out. And if that happened, we were essentially screwed. Please, Jesus, look, I know we haven't had the best relationship, but man, I really need you to pull through this time, man. And as we are walking, I slowly open my eyes, and out of my blurry sand-filled vision, I see a zigzag path leading down to an open gate full of campers. And I kid you not, as if God himself put it there, a singular manual water pump directly at the entrance of the campsite. The adrenaline finally kicks in for me and Riley, and we are sprinting down the hill, taking off our backpacks and just drowning ourselves in water. And it was, no cap, the greatest feeling I have ever felt in my goddamn life. It was like an angel floated down and just bear hugged me. Like, I cannot describe the feeling and do it justice. And literally maybe 10 minutes after we arrive, like a goddamn Seinfeld entrance, we see a shuttle pull up and Ben just walk out like nothing was wrong and being like, hey guys, how was it? Not bad. And then quickly after, Michaela and Chloe showed up. Now, because of how much we exerted ourselves and how badly dehydrated we were, our bodies just began shutting down. We didn't even set up our tent. Like, we just slept outside at a table for the first night because of how tired we were. And that, my friends, is the time that I almost died. Surprisingly, it's actually one of the fondest memories I have going on trips with my friends. Yeah, it was super dangerous, but that's what made it memorable and fun to look back on. I feel like there's a lot of moments in your life that you share with friends that you take for granted and don't realize how special they are until they're not around anymore. Most of my friends that I knew from high school are either gone somewhere to college or moving on with their lives, and honestly, I really miss the time that I spent with them. A couple months ago, Riley actually reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to give that hike another go, and honestly, I think I would like that. Anyway, that's my story, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!